Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh here back with another Kansas City Chiefs related video. Sorry I'm making this video in my car in a parking lot right now. I actually have been pretty busy and I don't have my recording equipment and stuff right now. But I did want to give a quick little take on the news from today, which is that Frank Clark is in fact being charged with felony possession of an illegal firearm. This is stemming from the report that earlier, what was it, last month now? Yeah, that Clark had an Uzi in his possession whenever he was pulled over in Los Angeles. And if anyone knows about the laws in the state of California, they do not like guns, especially, automatic guns like Uzis and all that stuff. So, it's not a good look for Clark. So now this actually is a little bit more serious because now that he's being charged, it means that, he's taking responsibility. Like, this gun was in his possession. It's his gun, like, I know there's some questions and debate out there about, like, maybe it was his security guards and the security guard left the gun there or something. It's like, nah, Clark's taking responsibility for this. Like, this was no mistake by the security guard or whatever. Like, Clark had an Uzi with him, which is, again, a really bad look. And now Clark, according to TMZ, could face up to 3 years in prison for this. So, do I think he'll actually end up going to prison? No, I think there's enough loopholes in the legal system. And I'm no lawyer, but I think there's enough loopholes in the legal system. Clark has a lot of money. He can fight this. I don't think he'll be going to spend any time in prison. But I do think that this definitely calls for a suspension from the NFL. I definitely think Clark will be suspended. I know there was some talk that, oh, maybe Clark misses no time, the whole thing will blow over. Guys, this is a felony we're talking about. Felonies don't just blow over. Like, there's going to be some type of repercussions for Clark. So, again, this is really serious. So, now, how does this implicate the Chiefs and their plans? Well, I definitely think it makes it even more likely now that they go out and they try to find some insurance for Clark's possible suspension. I always said they needed another defensive end even before the Clark stuff happened. Like, I thought they needed another solid veteran pass rusher, whether it be Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Olivier Vernon. We've heard all the names by now. I'm not going to go in depth on any of those options again. Like, there's plenty of videos on all those guys and what they could bring to the Chiefs already. We know the free agents. We know the names of who is out there by now. So the point remains that I do think the Chiefs need to add on to those guys. Like, it's getting to desperation now. Like, if Clark goes suspended for 4 games or whatever at the beginning of the year, that's 4 games. And the first 4 games of the Chiefs' schedule, mind you, are probably the 4 toughest games of the year. It's probably their toughest stretch where they play the best teams. Sorry for any background noise. Anyway, though, so it's going to be tough. So I would like to see them add like a Melvin Ingram or a Justin Houston or something, because then you're looking at Taco Charlton and Chris Jones as your starting edge defenders. Like, and I do like the idea of Chris Jones playing a little bit of edge, and I haven't made an official video on this or anything. I do like the idea of Chris Jones playing edge. However, I don't want the Chiefs to get so comfortable with Chris Jones playing on the edge because they can't get edge pressure from anyone else that it almost becomes a full-time position change for him. Like, he's still the most disruptive from the middle. He's still the second best defensive tackle in all of football behind Aaron Donald. So, it would be a crime not to take advantage of that as often as possible. They still need to take advantage of that because that is where he's most effective. And they have Jarran Reed now too, which is great and does allow Chris to play on the outside a little bit. But you would be foolish not to take advantage of having Jarran Reed and Chris Jones in the middle. Like, that is a heck of a interior pass rushing duo. I think the Chiefs need to bite the bullet on Frank Clark, admit their losses, and go out and get a veteran end that can rush the passer a little bit so you can keep Chris Jones inside more. That's just my opinion, though. I can go in depth on that in another video, but this is not a good look for Clark, guys. It's just not what he needed. Like, if you made a list of the top things not to do after signing a $100 million contract in the NFL, Frank Clark has done just about all those things. Play poorly, break the law, get arrested. Like, he's done all those things. Like, it's no debate at this point that Clark has played poorly. before last season, like, it was a debate. Like, I would say it was like 70-30 of the fans who supported Clark and thought he was pretty good, and the fans that disliked Clark. I was probably one of the 30% that didn't like Clark, and honestly, it was probably even less than 30%. But I didn't like Clark. I always thought he was overrated. I didn't like the trade from day one. But now it's slowly become almost like a 90-10 or an 80-20 on with people on my side, the majority on my side, which is Frank Clark is overrated. He's not that good. He's been a liability. And it's just really unfortunate because the Chiefs, they gave up all those draft picks. They spent all that money. Like, could you imagine if the Chiefs kept the draft picks and did whatever with them? I don't know. And maybe kept Emmanuel Ogbah and Justin Houston. Their edge possession would look a heck of a lot better, and they'd have more cheap labor with those draft picks. I mean, it's just, like, the possibilities are endless if they don't trade for Clark. I'm getting a little off track here, though. Clark has done all this stuff that you don't want a $100 million player to do after signing them. But it's just not a debate anymore that he's played poorly. Like, before it was kind of a debate, it's not a debate anymore. Like, outside of that 2019 playoff run, where he had 5 sacks in 3 games. 5 sacks in 3 games. Sorry. 3 of his 5 playoff sacks came in the fourth quarter when the Chiefs were up by more than 2 touchdowns, which by definition is garbage time. 3 of his 5 sacks were garbage time. And then if you look at the Super Bowl sack, the big one that everyone talks about, the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl without Frank Clark. Yes, they do. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl with Frank Clark. That doesn't mean they don't win without him. Like, let's remember, Frank Clark was on the team in 2020, and he was terrible, and the Chiefs had a bunch of injuries on the offensive line, and they still made the Super Bowl. So don't tell me they don't make the Super Bowl without Clark, especially in 2020. But going back to 2019, that Super Bowl sack, the game-sealing sack, that was after Jimmy Garoppolo had 4 seconds in the pocket, and as Eric Eager from PFF pointed out on Twitter, Clark still only had 2 pressures on 29 pass rushing attempts in that game, which is below average. Like, the whole 2019 playoff run was overrated. But let's go ahead and just say that Frank Clark had a good 2019 postseason. Outside of that, what has he done? Absolutely nothing. So to just play that poorly and then break the law and then just be caught up in all this, be a distraction to the team. You know, the Chiefs were hoping for another offseason where they didn't have to deal with this BS. Last offseason, they dealt with the Bashaud Breeland stuff. And then the season before that, we all know the Tyreek Hill stuff. And then you got to come out and do this and make the organization look bad again. Like, seriously, Frank? Now, I don't know if his contract can be voided. I think the only person that knows this answer is Brett Veach. There's a lot of people on Twitter that are going to pretend to know and say, or just say, I don't know, as to whether or not Frank Clark has a void in his contract for, you know, getting arrested and committing a felony. The only person that knows is Brett Veach. Now, the one thing I will say is, given the fact Clark has had multiple run-ins with the law already, you know, back with his domestic violence history and stuff like that, it is very possible that they have a clause in that contract saying it can be voided if he gets in trouble again, given the fact that he's gotten in trouble before. So it'll be interesting to see. I ultimately don't think the Chiefs cut him or void his contract, because I still think there would be a lot of dead money either way, and they just want the player on the team for this year just because they don't really have anyone else behind him. But the whole thing just sucks. It really does. That's pretty much all I gotta say, though. That sums up all my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Frank Clark situation. I know I made a video on it back when the news first broke, but I wanted to make a new one, especially with today's update. So, yeah, let me know. That's all I got for today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and kckingdom.com. Peace.